I hope all is well. Thank you again for doing this interview for me and being willing to be interviewed and um, willing to record this video. I'm going to ask you some questions to get a better understanding about the way you work with families and with students who are dually identified, those with ESL and those students who have a learning disability, and how your uh, role plays an important impact in their early childhood development. That's how they develop. So, um, can you
You're welcome.
describe your role within the school and your experiences working with families of students with disability and those who are English language learners as well?
Okay. Well, my role in the school is to serve as an English as a second language teacher to third, fourth, and fifth grade students. So I am responsible for making sure that they have their appropriate accommodations um, and that teachers understand how to service them in classrooms, try to bridge those um, barriers, just to break down the barriers between academic language and how that can be confusing to students. And because it's not, everyday language, but also to help the teachers understand that language proficiency, it looks different for each child, and just to do what is best for that student. So I usually service between 55 and 65 students a year. And I also am responsible for being a liaison for parents of those children, just within our school and between the Board of Education as well. So that kind of looks like providing them with language services to make sure there is proper interpretation and translation for them as they need it, to make them feel welcome into the school, and to give them opportunities to come in and to volunteer and participate with their student as the year progresses. So some of my experiences with that, some have been very good and has been easy, kind of smooth sailing. Like we do things that are fun, like we have our Hispanic Heritage Month that is followed by a big celebration. And so that gives the families the time to come in and to be a part of the school and the community stakeholders. They come in and they also participate, and it gets great coverage from Jefferson County as well as the school itself on social media. And even last year we had uh, Spanish, like a Latino news um, agency to come out, and they covered it as well. So just to do those things, provide parent involvement opportunities. We have a person who serves on our PTA as vice president. She's an ESL parent. So to also give them opportunities like that as well. And to make them feel like they're part of the culture in the school. As far as the kids go, they get every opportunity as well that
Okay.
the English speaking children do. They can participate in the same sports. They have the opportunity to, take the same classes at them as them. Like they're not separated. They do get that pull out service from me. They get an hour a week. That is kind of a protected time. It's protected by law that they do come to me. They get their IELP that gives their accommodations. They get tested once per year to see, how they're progressing with their language proficiency. So we have those things as well in place for them. I do service also some dually identified students that are both XED and ESL. So with that, of course, we do put their XED accommodations, especially when it comes to testing, on the forefront. And then whatever accommodations they need as an ESL student, we provide those as well. So
Yeah, I have a
yeah,
question regarding that.
yes,
Do
yes.
you and the exec department, do y'all ever collaborate together when it comes to those students who are dually identified, and can you describe what that looks like?
Okay. So we don't really collaborate as far as curriculum goes. We do as far as scheduling goes. The curriculum I won't say the curriculum, but the goals that they have in their IEP for XED is very different from the goals that they have in their IELP, because with their IEP, it's more academic and it's like a tier 3 for them academically, say in reading or in math, whereas with the IELP is a language based goal. So uh, it's two very different goals, if that makes sense. So as far as I go, I wouldn't be focused on what their goal in reading or math. But I do want that academic language that'll help them reach the goals, if that makes sense. So
Yes,
if
it
there
does.
are, mhm.
Keep going.
So it's not really a tier 3. It's not to really catch them up to grade level, but it's to try to get them more proficient in English. So I think that is like why it's so important for their IELP for those go accommodations to be considered as well as the IELP.
Okay. So you're saying that it's important for, do you feel, let me say that, do you feel that it's important? I know they're separate, the goals are separate because you're
Hmm.
working on language based goals in a sense,
Hmm.
and the EXCED teachers working on more academic. Um, how do you feel about um you guys working together when it comes to that expressive language or receptive language with students with disabilities?
So yes, that language piece, when it comes to the receptive language, that is very important. I just in my experience with third, fourth, and fifth, I've never worked collaboratively with the ex-ed teacher. When it came to that, I've worked more so with the classroom teacher when it came down to that, and whatever vocabulary they were working on at that time, that's what I did in my classroom. Um, I'm not even sure, to be honest, if our ex-ed teacher even pulls out that vocabulary, any type of vocabulary, because I've never talked to her about it. Yeah.
Can you, which you've done a great job of describing your role and your experience working with families, and how you describe the roles families play with supporting their children's learning and education success. You've also done a good job of describing a time when family involvement has made a positive impact. Can you tell me, how do you feel that their home environment influence their learning and academic development?
Oh, okay. So first, I do want to say that I think that all children's home environment impact, whether negatively or positively, their academic performance. So when we talk about our ESL students, because those students come from a number of different backgrounds, and I know for the most part we think about Latino families, but those aren't the only families, and those aren't the only cultures that goes up under this umbrella of ESL. So when I say this, I am talking about in my experience, which is mostly with Latino families. So, I'm not speaking on, other cultures or what, I don't know. But as far as the Latino families that I have experience with, it does impact because there is a language barrier, first of all. And then sometimes there is also that academic barrier. Even when you provide those resources like translation and things like that. And even the ones that can just say read or write in Spanish, sometimes, the jargon that we use or the wording that we use is not the same. And when we send home certain things, and sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle because we have parents that work at night, we have kids that stay home sometimes to watch the brothers and sisters and things like that. So it can get lost in the sauce, some of the things that we send home. And we as far as like homework, we think that they should, go home and sit at the table and everybody do homework together. They don't really have those supports for the families to help those kids. Then, of course, we do have the poverty side of that as well, to where, we have kids that come to school, they don't have the things that they need. But, that's across the board as well. So I have seen both negative and positive impacts because we do also have parents who aren't shy of asking for resources and coming to get resources and help from us. So I think that that aspect, like I said, it is effective whether positively or negatively with students. I hope that answers you. And if you need clarity, just ask me. Or if you need to
No, I
reword it.
think you answered it.
Okay.
Um, I do have describe a way that the community could help families that have challenges that you spoke of, um, such as them working different hours, poverty, of course the language barriers too. But describe some ways that the community could help um, with these issues that these families are having.
Okay, so at one school that I was at, one way that the community helped, I think that there was a church that would come in and do like English lessons and activities with parents, like once a week at night, and there was childcare that was provided while the parents wouldn't had, time to study and learn some English. Also, we can have those community nights where, some of our stakeholders they come in and we can show, families how to play certain games or do certain activities with students. Instead of just saying, well, pull out this, and do certain activities with them, but we show them how to do it. And we usually do that like with math and reading nights. Another way is also just there are lots of churches that provide like meals for families. So that too, and maybe vouchers for childcare so that we won't see as many siblings having to stay home to watch. the younger sibling while mom and dad works. And that would cut down on some of the attendance issue that some schools may have.
Okay.
And
What
also too,
is,
I think
oh,
that the
go ahead.
community, yeah, I'm sorry. I think also too that if possible, the community could try to make the families feel safer because,
So
we're
can
in
you
a day.
describe what do you mean by that? How to families to feel safer,
Yes.
or tell more
So,
about it?
yeah, for instance, some families are, or I know at least were afraid to come to school because they thought that, they would be picked up and they would be deported and things like that. So they got scared to send their kids to school. So the way that we kind of got around that was that the school was letting parents know you can send them. You don't have to be afraid to send them to school. Like it's not our job to sing your name somewhere or to turn you in. That's not what we are here for. But see, if we don't communicate with that with parents, they did not know that. So I think as a community, we could send that same message. Like, hey, send your kids to school. We're here to stand with you. We're here to support you, and things like that. And even when there are families who just say the dad has been deported, or even the mom for that sake, that the community can step in and just help this child, at least, with clothes, while the other parent is absent. We literally had a family in our school where the dad was deported and the child was saying, she didn't have any Kona ice money like everybody else. And she was sad because dad worked and he was the one who had all the money. Now, mom, she had just started a job and she didn't have money to get an icy like everybody else. But just having that maybe a fund for, um, kids that need certain things because they have a parent that is absent. Just showing that we do support
Okay.
those families.
How do you think family experiences influence the education outcome of students with disabilities, and or those who are English learners?
You said, how do family experiences?
Yes, influence the educational outcomes of students with disabilities, and those who are ESL.
Okay, explain how
Like
family
so,
is it?
how do families their personal experiences? How do you feel their personal experiences that they've had? It can be in the education setting or even outside the education setting. Influence their child's education um,
Okay.
outcomes. If
Okay.
that makes more sense.
So I think that that can be both negative and positive as well. Because if you do have a parent that just, have has always heard or believed the negative stigma that comes along with having a child that is exceed, and they may not want that child to get tested or that child to have services or that child to be labeled or the child to be, excluded or self-contained, those type of things do become a struggle, for that child, even when it comes down to, I guess ADHD would be more like a 504 thing, but they don't want them to have medication for ADHD because they've heard that, this thing about it or that about it, and they don't want the labels and things like that. And I also think that you know, parents who are more educated in it and knows the positive that can come out of having your child in the proper um I don't want to say label, but grouping that they need to be in when it comes down to education, whether it's ex ed, general ed, gifted, any type of service that they can get that I really I forgot my train of thought. But no matter what it is, I think that the negative experiences is going to show up to be negative unless they really get with a teacher that can um really communicate and make the parent comfortable in knowing that, okay, we're here for your child. We're not trying to diagnose your child with something that they don't need, or put them in a classroom that they don't need to be in, or give them services that they don't need. But we're giving them every type of support that is possible for them to be successful in their academic career.
Okay.
Sure,
So,
what you say?
I heard you say that you feel like sometimes parents just do not understand like the different processes and the support that they're able to get. Um, if I'm paraphrasing it correctly, and if I'm not, just stop me and you know tell me again. But what are some ways that schools can help bridge that gap?
I think one way that can help bridge that gap is, number one, not making it seem like the child is so different. Like, is I think that, okay, so I think a lot of parents, or some parents, feel like just a certain anxiety that comes along with having a child that has a special need or a special disability, whether it's a learning disability, physical, whatever it may be. That, number one, sometimes that they've done something wrong, and then it comes with just what other people have said to them, or experience they had that made their child uncomfortable, or was picked on, or whatever it may be, or even themselves, like they could have been picked on for a certain disability when they were younger, and now they don't want their child to go through that. So I
Do
think
you
that
think
schools can make them feel as, quote, normal as possible. Like, this is, all, like I always say, like, all kids can learn. Some kids learn differently than others, but everybody has their own maximum potential. So that is to say that everybody basically is the same. However, it might look a little different. My 100% might be different from your 100%. But at the end of the day, they're both 100%. So,
do you think that's
just
sorry to cut you off, but
you
do
could.
you think that also goes with students with our ESL students?
Absolutely, even though I wouldn't call it a disability, but language is still a barrier. So it
Hmm.
does make them disabled you know, to process certain words and vocabulary and make certain connections. So yes, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Which is why I
Um,
love the fact that we have what's called IELPs. Like, it's just like an IEP, but it has that language part right there in it, and it's protected by law. So I really like that part of it, because it basically is a type of disability.
right. Right.
Mhm.
It is.
Mhm.
If you look at it at the whole at the as a whole, it
Right.
is.
And the
It is.
definition of it. Hmm.
Hmm. In what ways, or can you describe ways that families have advocated for their children's educational needs? And
Can we do
how
just,
can
I'm sorry,
educators
can we
learn?
just do one part at a time? Because I be forgetting what the
Okay,
second
that's
part is.
fine.
Okay.
Um,
So
so
what's the first part?
if my video cuts off, I may have to do it.
Oh, I'm
Just
sorry.
do another one, which is it's fine. No, it's okay.
Okay.
So in what ways do family advocate for their children's educational needs?
One way is that they do know who we have on site at our school that is able to listen to them, hear them, and understand their language. And so they do talk to Miss Gill, and they do know that we have an ESL department. Um, a lot of time, and they also talk with each other. And in that, we, like I said, we do have our PTA vice president. So I do think that as long as the schools put it out there who they have in place to help them, that parents definitely will, and they'll still reach out to teachers at time and to the principal. So I do think that it's important just for them to be, for parents to know who the staff is in the building. And most of the time they'll find at least one person on staff to be comfortable with. And yeah, so
Right. So, this is my last question. How do
uh,
educators learn about families' cultures, background, experiences, and strength when planning instruction or providing support?
how do they learn about it?
Yeah, what are some ways, or can you describe what are some ways that
Yes.
educators can learn about families' culture, their background, their experiences, and also the family strengths when
So
planning instruction or providing some type of support?
mhm. I would say talking, have meetings, talk with the parent. If there's a language barrier, find a way. Now we have the Elsa, we have Google Translate, which isn't official, but it's on the phone. So I've noticed that, like with parents, they'll pull out the Google Translate on their phone, real fast. So those type things. We have books, there's Google. I mean, there's a wealth of things. There are bilingual um people in the world, not only in the world, but at the schools, at some of the schools, and at our central office building, that we can talk to about their culture, and the strengths and the weaknesses of their families. Now, the parents, they don't really like to talk about those weaknesses, but just finding out the strengths of a family will help a whole lot as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for sorry, something fell at my house. But I want to
I'm
thank
sorry.
you for being willing to be interviewed today. You answered a lot of my questions within your discussion, which is great. Um, so again, thank you for this experience. Thank you for your wealth of knowledge, and I hope we do get a chance to speak again.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Mhm.